Hello, my very good friends, and welcome to this, the 100th episode of Time Between Times storytelling. Now, you might have realised there have been more than 100 episodes, far more, but many of them are mindful listens, or many of them are firepit fables, where I interview someone else. But this is the 100th story. I never thought it would come here. I never thought it would get to 100 episodes. Just over 2 years ago, I was in a particularly bad place, recording the first episode in a break between sessions in a rehabilitation centre. And here I am, 2 years later, looking around the fire pit at all my friends and realising how lucky I am to have you all here. Diolch o galon. Thank you very much for choosing to spend your time here at the fire pit at the heart of the forest with me on a weekly basis. I released a new Patreon video this week, all about a storytelling challenge, where I was setting myself a challenge to tell a story based on random cards. It's on Patreon, it's on Ko-fi. So if you want to support me there as a special 100th episode gifts, you will get that video and get to see it. It was a lot of fun. I thought long and hard about what I was going to do today. I thought of different ways of presenting the show. I listened to feedback that people wanted to hear, and then realised that we have something special. We tell a tale and we get into a mindful place. So all I've done today for you to celebrate this episode is make it a double. I will tell a story, and then afterwards we shall do a mindful listen. So sit back, relax, close your eyes if it's safe to do so, and get yourself in a place. For the 100th time, we will go to the fire pit at the heart of the forest. You open your eyes. You are in that front room, that cosy place, that place you call home. You can hear the cars zooming outside. You stand up. You go out to the hallway and put on your coat. The days are starting to shorten, the nights are getting longer, the time between times grows stronger, and you look outside and see that the sun is starting to fail. You walk down the pathway, making sure your door is closed behind you, pulling your coat close across your chest. Winter is coming. Halloween is just around the corner. For many of you, this is your favourite time of year. You take the right turn and follow the road past the houses of your neighbours. You look inside, you can see the televisions blazing, the lights are shining, the phones are being used. But where you are going is somewhere truly special. You walk through the road until you come to the forest. It stretches in front of you to the sky, its trees as ancient as the oldest tales. Then you step onto the path that you know well. As soon as you step in it, the shadows of the trees wash over you, and you are starting to enter another world. Your feet crunch on the fallen leaves. You come across the old mossy stone tower. There is a light burning in its upper floor, and you wonder who is there. But now is not the time to visit, for you pass over the babbling brook and head to the clearing at the heart of the forest. And there you see it, for the 100th time. People are gathered. The fire is flickering. The sky is even colder here. You look up and see the sun and the moon sharing the same space. A chill fills you, for you know this is a place of magic. For you are at the time between times, the time when it's neither night nor day, but the sun has gone and the sky is grey, the time when the veil between our world and the fairy world is wafer thin. so thin that for a few moments, and just a few moments, you can reach into their realm, and for a few moments they can reach into ours. Now is the time that people see lights in the sky. Now is the time that people see the Tylwyth Teg. Now is the time that people see ghosts. There are many ghosts. Ghosts of tales that have gone by. Ghosts of people we love and have lost. The ghosts of the past. And they are welcome here, for we know they have come to listen to a tale traditionally told. So you sit down, you relax. People are sharing food, people are sharing jokes, people are talking with warmth in their hearts. But then the storyteller begins his tale and all falls silent. Long ago and far away, in the north of Wales, in the shadow of Yr Wyddfa, the great mountain that looks over Wales like a caring mother. But this was a dark day, for in the cave at the side of Wyddfa, King Arthur lay dying. He was old, and his kingdom had basically been lost to his wayward son Mordred, who had marched across the land with all his armies. Arthur, but a small band of knights, lay in the cave. He had grown old, his wounds catching up with him, his body becoming weary, his mind filled with doubt. All that was great and true and wonderful about Camlan and the kingdom he had made was now basically lost to history. An eagle flew above the peaks of the mountain, cawing brightly. A mist had fallen like a shroud. But in this cave, Arthur and his knights had gathered. Sir Bedivere, one of his most loyal knights, came to Arthur and said, "Mordred's army is just over the mountain. Shall I offer terms for our surrender?" Arthur opened his eyes. All gasped to see the effort that it took the great man just to speak. But speak he did. "No. Bring my horse to me. Bring my shield to me. And bring my sword Caladvalch to me. For tomorrow we shall meet him in battle, and he will rue the day that he brought his army to fight the armies of the Cymry." They did as he asked. Arthur's great stallion. He was tied into the saddle. A shield was placed in his arm, and his sword Caladvalch at his side. His loyal knights gathered with him, and as the dawn broke at the time between times, they rode out of the cave and down the hill. And there they saw them gathered in front. Mordred's army, as thick as dust. Many, many knights had joined his cause, all those with an argument or a grudge against the king, evil men from all over the land. And when they saw the size of Arthur's army, they laughed. But what happened next they did not expect. Arthur rode his horse, with his men behind him, directly at his wayward son. Mordred looked up with horror in his face. He had just enough time to draw his sword before the great charge that thundered through the valley met his men like a thunderbolt. The clash could be heard from the north of Wales to the south as the armies gave battle. Arthur fought with the vigour of a lion, something that had not been in his body for many years, and the men of Mordred started to fall in their hundreds before the small but mighty force of Arthur King. He fought his way through mercenaries, through highwaymen, through robbers and vagabonds, until at last he came in front of his son. Mordred, who in his heart was a coward, started to back away, but knew For here he had to make his stand. His whole rebellion was based on the fact that he could be a better king. So he drew his sword and rushed forward, for he had a plan. Arthur rode straight towards him. They said that the sound that his horse made in the charge was like the sound of 1,000 knights, even though he was alone. In fairness to Mordred, he stood and received that charge, but at the last moment backed away. For hidden in the rocks of Eryri all around him, he had placed archers. And although people thought he would fight Arthur in single combat, these archers stood up and fired their bows into Arthur's men, who fell in their dozens. 5 arrows struck the king. He staggered in his saddle and almost fell. But then he opened his eyes again, and the determination in them was as strong as ever. And although riddled with arrows, he rushed towards his son, brought Caladvalch up, and with one great move cut off his head. Mordred's body slumped to the floor, and it is said that for a few moments the battle paused and became totally silent, as every warrior there turned and looked at what had happened. Mordred was dead. The rebellion was over. His cowardly forces turned and ran away, into the hills, many of them never to be seen again, leaving Arthur's small and exhausted force there in the centre of the field, in the shadows of the mountain, on the shores of Llyn Lladau, the crystal-clear lake of the heart of Snowdonia. Arthur was taken from his horse and put on the ground. "I am dying now. I will soon pass from this world. But I wish you to do one thing." "What is it?" said Sir Bedivere. "Lift me to my feet. I will throw Caladvalch into the centre of the lake, where it will disappear from the waters. But although I go from this world, it is only to slumber, for when needed most, I shall return." Helped by his men, Arthur stood on his feet, held his sword in his hand, and with one last great mighty act threw it far out into the centre of the lake. But just before it entered the water, a hand emerged from the crystal-clear waters and caught the sword in its grasp. For a moment it just stood there, above the waters, and then slowly and surely it drew the sword beneath the waters to vanish forever. The men gasped, and Arthur slumped to the ground. Then across the misty surface of the pool there came a boat. 3 maidens did man the boat, one with dark hair, one with blonde, and one with red, all of them as beautiful as the dawn. It slowly made its way across to where the king did lie, and then stopped on the shore. The 3 clambered out and lifted Arthur's body from its shoaly bed and placed it in the boat. The men gathered around and watched as they rowed him across the lake and out of history and into legend. Sir Bedivere took the last remaining knights into the hills. They were never seen again. It is said that they still slumber, awaiting for time when Wales will need them most, where they will once again ride to battle at the side of the great King Arthur, with his mighty blade, Caladvalch. The boat disappeared across the horizon. The king was not seen again. but his tales are still told. In every corner of the world, he is known, the saviour of Cymru, Arthur King, lord of his men, a true, fair and just warrior, and one whose tale we tell today at the time between times, a time it's neither night nor day, but the sun has gone, and the sky is grey. Thank you for so much. Thank you for everything, my friends. And thank you most of all for being here at the fire pit. You can join my Patreon at patreon.com/Owen Staton 7, or just send me a Ko-fi at ko-fi.com/Owen Staton. You can write me an email, owenstaton@aol.com, or follow me on Twitter at Owen S. Griffiths, or X as it's now known. And on a Sunday night at 9, we will gather at the fire pit at Twitter Spaces for another tale traditionally told. But in the meantime, our time together is not over. So sit back, relax, and listen to this mindful listen, recorded for you as a thank you on this 100th episode. I will see you soon at the time between times. But until then, take care, my friends. No star. In celebration of the 100th episode of Time Between Times, I asked you, was there something special you would like? And the huge majority came back to me asking for a new mindful listen. Now, for those of you who don't know, the mindful listen is a meditation, a monologue, a story that invites you to relax and just step with us within the world of fairy for just a few moments, to leave your cares and your strife behind and join us in a place of relaxation where you can truly just be yourself. Before we begin, I must ask you, if you are driving or operating machinery or doing anything at all that requires you to be alert, please stop the tape now and come back another time. But if you are in a place where you can truly relax, I ask you to sit back, make yourself comfortable, close your eyes if it's safe to do so. Open your mind and your imagination and join me at Pennard Castle. Now, for those of you who have been with the podcast for quite a while, you will remember my journey to Pennard, the broken tooth of a castle overlooking Three Cliffs Bay in the Gower in Wales. The place where a maiden stepped from the sea to marry a Norman lord filled with cruelty. The castle was cursed, and every day to this day it is swept with sand. But we are going back many years, before the castle became a ruin, before the sand blew across the sky, to the place of beauty that is Pennard. Let us take 3 deep breaths. 1. 2. 3. Let us imagine ourselves underwater. The sea is sploshing around us. We can feel the salt on our face and on our tongue, but we are not scared. For we are free while the waves wind around us, free to swim, to surf, to jump underwater. And there are others with us as well. We look around and see the merfolk, splashing and singing in happiness. The sun is shining overhead as we burst from the water and look at the blue sky, even bluer than the sea. There are a small number of clouds, each of them in shapes. One is a dragon, another is a bear. The third looks like a horse galloping over the sky. We are now treading water in the sea, where once we had a fish's tail. Now we have feet and legs. The water is warm and nourishing, and the sound of laughter drifts away as our companions splash and swim into the distance. We are looking at the shore. We are looking at 3 stone cliffs that stretch to the sky. One of those cliffs is cleft with a great hole, a cave that leads to the other side of the valley, and it's to that we start to swim. We can hear the faint sound of sheep bleating upon the top of the cliffs. Somewhere far away we can hear someone filled with song. But we just keep making our way towards the shore, the sandy shore. Our feet touch the sand at the bottom and we crunch our toes together. The sand in between them seems to screech and splatter and move away. And then we step out of the water, warmed instantly by the sun. Our whole body coming out of the sea as the waves splash over our knees. We find ourselves on the beach. An old wooden boat is tied up nearby, its oars inside, its top filled with moss. Maybe someone has used it, but not today, not for a long time. There are small rock pools filled with crabs that flutter and fly back and forth. We make our way towards that cleft in the cliff. There is a great rock pool in front of it, and behind it, through what seems like a portal, we can see a sandy beach on the other side that leads inland. We turn around and take one last look at the sea. My God, it's beautiful. I can hear the shore splashing. I can hear the waves. The tide is receding, and so are my worries. And then I turn and walk towards that great hole in the cliff. Every step I seem to grow stronger. With every step my courage grows. With every step my purpose is filled. Till suddenly the cliff is over me like a shadow, and I step into the cool rock pool that leads from one side to the other. I walk through the cavern, through the cave. It is but brief, but it truly feels like a portal in which I have passed. And now I am on the other side, a beach beyond the beach. And this one is filled with weirs and rivers of running water, making their way down to the sea. I splash sometimes up to my knees, as I turn a bend and look inland to the most beautiful valley that I have ever seen. It is lush and verdant and green. And there atop the hill, looking down at where I am, are the great towers of Pennard. Pennants and flags fly in the sky. A great wooden door I can see from here, a drawbridge closed against its enemies. It is a slow walk up a winding hill. We leave behind the sand and come across shoal and grass and small stones. We fear for a moment that our feet will be cut, but they are not. We just hear and feel the crunching beneath our feet as we walk inwards. We take more breaths. We look around. Part of us wants to return to the ocean, but the vast majority the greater part of our huge heart feels that we belong in the castle, overlooking the bay. We start to wander up the hill, at times so steep that we need to bend over and pull at the grass and the rocks in order to make us walk. There are animals here, bleating sheep, mooing cows, the odd horse galloping over the dunes. Our legs feel weary and tired. But no, we do not stop. We make our way further up the hill. Turning round the bend, we see the castle is close now. Far away, we can hear music. Old, jolly, dancing music. The sort that fills your soul with joy. Our pace quickens as we take a ride over the top of the hill. We turn back and look down at the bay. What a sight this is! The great blue sea crashing against the rocks and cliffs. The old shore-filled beach below us. How many people have arrived on this beach, bringing with them tales from lands distant? How many people have travelled here, seeking solace and safety? We take another breath, and we turn and make our way to the castle. It rises in front of us, like a great giant on the hill. There are soldiers marching upon its battlements, but there is music coming from its great hall. And as we approach, the great door opens, and inside is a scene filled with joy. We walk in and feel the heat from the fire. It dries us and sends the last of the sand and the water away to fill us with warmth and happiness. There is a great fire here and a long table. Each side of that table are lines of our friends and family, those we love the most. Those who join us regularly at the fire pit at the heart of the forest, at the time between times. The time it's neither night nor day, but the sun has gone, and the sky is grey. We can hear the crackle of the fire. There is a seat for us at the end of the table. For a moment we thought it was a throne, but it's nothing that ostentatious. Just a great wooden seat. We take our place and join in the feast of great sweetmeats and wine, or whatever it is you love to eat. You feel at home. Great tapestries hang from the walls. The place is filled with song. People are dancing, people are singing. People are genuinely happy, and so are you. You look outside. The sun is starting to set, the moon is starting to rise. It's that time for tales. You pick up your goblet and drink your wine. Smile at those around you, and make your way to the window, looking down on the bay. Fishing boats are being dragged out, ready for the morning. But what draws your attention the most is what you see splashing in the ocean. The fairy folk, the Tylwyth Teg, the very folk, the bendith and mamai, are all swirling and dancing in the sea. And you are here, a lord in your own castle, surrounded by friends, family, loved ones, those who are here now and some who you have not seen for a long time, are all together in a place of joy, a place of happiness, a place of story, a place where no worries or cares dare enter. For this is your fortress. This is where you can come whenever you feel the need to sit down, relax, and know who you really are. A person filled with wonder, full of imagination and kindness. And with every beat in your heart, joy fills your very soul. For you are here at the time between times, the time it's neither night nor day, but the sun has gone, and the sky is grey. Stay as long as you like. Relax for as long as you can. And when you are ready, and only when you are ready, return to the place we have to be sometimes. But know, you can always return here and be happy in your castle, the castle overlooking the sea, the castle of wonder, the castle of tales, the castle of legends. I'm going to leave you there now. But of course, you are always welcome with me at the fire pit at the heart of the forest, if that is what you so wish. Nostal.